2024 is going to be a huge year for Grand Adventure. Hey Zoe, give me a little room, would you? Greetings friends and welcome back to Grand Adventure. I'm your host Mark Guido. In only 5 short weeks, we're going to be leaving our winter campsite here in northern Utah to spend almost the entire remainder of 2024 traveling all across North America and bringing you along. We've been getting an enormous amount of stuff done already ahead of our departure. That has included replacing and repacking the wheel bearings on our trailer and getting some electrical system repairs done to our RV, but we still have an enormous amount to do before we leave. For example, I need to replace all 4 of the trailer tires. I want to do some decluttering and eliminate a lot of the things that we've been carrying around for the past year or 2 that we really haven't needed. And I also have some routine maintenance to do on the Beast, as this will be our 2nd season towing with our F350. Finally, while all this is going on, we want to get a few last weeks of skiing in before we leave. We told you last week that spring was springing here in the Salt Lake Valley, but there's still 14 feet of settled snowpack in the Wasatch Mountains above our campground. And we are now back to winter. We're getting new snow every single day this week. And just this past weekend, over 2 feet of snow fell in just barely 24 hours. Of the 48 contiguous United States, there are still 12 states that we have yet to RV camp in. Our goal by the end of 2024 is to not only have completed the lower 48, but also camp in our first 4 Canadian provinces. Of course, we'll also be finding new Grand Adventures to bring you along on in states that we have previously visited. All told, by the time we are done with 2024, we will have brought you to not only our first 4 Canadian provinces, but also a full half of the number of United States, 25. And in many ways, some of these stops are going to be like an old homecoming for us. I grew up in southeastern Connecticut and spent many years traveling all across New England. Mrs. Grand Adventure is from Quebec and still has relatives in the area. And we're going to be bringing you to both of those areas during the course of 2024. Personally, my favorite plan is to have no plan. But heading east requires a lot of pre-planning. Of course, there's little to no boondocking east of the Rockies. So we're having to make reservations in campgrounds. And because of competition, we're having to make these reservations as soon as the reservation window opens, often 6 months or more in advance. For example, using recreation.gov, the reservation window for federal campgrounds begins at 6 months. And at 8 o'clock a.m. Mountain Time, I'm ready on recreation.gov with the site that I want to book preloaded in one window and an atomic clock running in another window. And at 7:59, 59 and a half seconds, I'm hitting click book now. And you know something? Even with that strategy, I've only got about a 30% success rate before other folks snap up these campsites before I can get them. It's also going to cost us a crazy amount of money for some things. For example, in some parts of Canada, by the time you convert liters to gallons, diesel fuel is running for around $8 per gallon. Now, admittedly, that's in Canadian dollars, and by the time we get the benefit of the exchange rate, it comes out to about $6 per gallon in US dollars. But still, even that's substantially higher than what we're paying for diesel fuel here in the United States. On top of that, some parts of the US East Coast have crazy prices for campgrounds, and in some regions going for well north of $100 per night. And our old standby of state park campgrounds doesn't always come out cheaper. For example, in Massachusetts, they are charging residents $22 per night for a state park campsite. However, they are charging out-of-state residents $70. On top of that, they charge an extra $10 for water and electric hookups. So all told, non-residents are paying $80 per night for a state park campsite, over triple what they are charging for residents. That's just crazy talk. And Rhode Island, right next door, isn't much better. They're charging non-residents double what they charge residents for campsites. Fortunately for us, the price of diesel fuel in Canada notwithstanding, the campground prices across the parts of Eastern Canada that we are going to be traveling through help to make up for it. For our entire swing through Eastern Canada, we're averaging $65 Canadian per night for what are usually full hookup campsites. Now, by the time we convert that to US dollars, that averages out to about 48 US dollars per campsite. Yes, they're mostly full hookup sites, but we're also finding that across Eastern Canada, it's almost impossible to find a 50 amp electrical hookup. Just about all those campsites are 30 amp only. We also, when we return to the United States, we are entitled to a refund of the 5% federal tax charged in Canada on campgrounds and fuel and food and all kinds of things. So that also helps to defray the cost of visiting Canada. We're truly looking forward to returning to some areas which we were previously very familiar with, but which we haven't seen in decades, as well as traveling to some areas that are completely brand new to both of us. Let's give you a taste of what you can expect on Grand Adventure this season. Aren't there some stunning and spectacular places on this itinerary? We truly look forward to bringing you along all throughout 2024. And as a reminder, we premiere new Grand Adventures each and every Wednesday. So if you're not yet a Grand Adventurer, I can't think of a better time for you to go smash that little subscribe button right down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. And ring that notification bell to be sure that you never miss a Grand Adventure. If you like this episode, please be sure to give us a big thumbs up down below. That's extremely important to us. And while you're down below, we would love to receive your feedback on our 2024 itinerary. If you've got places that we need to see in any of the spots that we showed you, please be sure to tell us about it down below in the comments section. Finally, we'd be honored if you shared the channel with your friends, family, and on social media. So until next Wednesday, please remember life is nothing but a grand adventure. We'll see you then.